Hey everyone, it's Laurel with Gelin' with Laurel, your independent distributor for GelMoment. Today we're going to do a tutorial again with Metor Aura. I am going to be doing a total of 4 different tutorials in the month of January that will have something to do with the Metor Aura, whether it be a full set with Metor Aura, or if it's just one accent nail or a bunch of accent nails, or just some kind of design that is going to include Metor Aura, since it is the color of the month. So what you see me doing here is just doing the first coat with Emerald Envy. And of course you want to make it as thin as possible and as even as possible. I'm just trying to get all the color on. Once the color's on, I'm going to go over it again and even that out. So this is with the second coat on, cured, and I'm just finishing off the third coat. And then we're going to put that in the lamp. Each time you do a cure, you're going to want to do a full cure, considering that you're doing a full coverage. So you want to do 45 to 60 second cure depending on the lamp that you're using, and make sure that you cap your nail. That prevents dirt and grime and everyday life materials getting in and underneath your gel polish. So after you have your nails fully cured, then you're going to want to apply a coat of Matter Effect. The reason I'm putting Matter Effect on is because I'm going to be using styling strips. Now what this is going to do is make the styling strips adhere better to the nail, because it's not going to be a glossy surface, it's going to be a matte surface. Now if you don't have Matter Effect, you can definitely use the buffing side of the GelMoment nail file and just use that to make the nail plate matte. However, if you do have Matter Effect, it's a lot easier, cleaner, and just quicker to use the Matter Effect. Make sure when you're applying the Matter Effect that all of the coats are nice and even for everything that you want to cure. In this instance, we're going to be making sure that the whole nail plate is covered. You don't want to have any streaks or cracks or any kind of the shiny polish showing through. So you want to make sure you have a complete full coverage. Capping as well, because you don't want that shine to be showing on the tips or free edge of your nails either. And then once you have a full coverage, then you want to pop that in the lamp 45 to 60 seconds depending on your lamp. So I'm using our gold styling strips. So basically you just grab one end and pull it down the sheet, and then you're going to want to hold on to it. It's winter time. My hands are so dry. Oh my God, it's awful here in Canada. So we're going to be using the Metor Aura in the middle of the styling strips. So what you want to do is grab one end, grab the other end as well. And you want to get it as tight as possible without stretching it. If you stretch it, you're going to have wrinkles in it, and that's what you don't want. You want to go as tight as it will allow you to do it without stretching it. And then you just clip off what you're not using. And to make sure that it's on really good, use a dotting tool, or here you can see I'm using the cuticle pusher, and you just want to make sure that that's adhered really well to the nail. Once you're certain that they're adhered really well, then we're taking the Metor Aura and we're just going to apply it in between those styling strips. Now when I chose this color, the Emerald Envy, I thought that it was going to look a little bit different, and it ended up being way darker, so the Metor Aura didn't didn't shine through like I'd, you know, like pop, I guess you could say, like I was hoping. So I kind of just add a little bit here and there and a little bit more and a little bit more until I find that at least the Meteor Aura is kind of shining a little bit. You'll see as we go. And then you put it in the lamp, and only for 5 seconds. If you put it in for longer than 5 seconds, then if you got any on the styling strips, then it might pull it right off of the nail. So if you put it in for 5 seconds, that gives the Meteor Aura just enough to freeze, and it will still let go without taking the middle part with it. And also it's not going to seep underneath the styling strips either. It's going to give you a nice straight line. So remember, 5 seconds, and then after you have them all pulled off, then you put it in the lamp for its full 60 seconds or 45 seconds, depending on the lamp that you have. So because it's not popping like I was hoping, I'm going to try and give it a border. I don't want to do white or any kind of lighter color for the border because I don't want to take it from the Meteor Aura. So I'm trying to bring some darker color like what the Meteor Aura is looking like on the middle of the nail, and I'm just going to surround the outer edge of the nail to try and bring the focus back to the Meteor Aura. So I'm taking my medium liner brush from the Creativity set, and I'm just going to drag the liner brush around the whole entire perimeter of the nail plate. Make sure when you're going around the nail plate that you get all of the spots that you may have missed with the Emerald Envy. And this is actually works really nice when you're doing it on a actual fingernail, because it gives that nice bordered look, and because you're doing it with the liner brush, it makes it look a lot cleaner than what you might be able to do with just the paint, just the brush from the bottle. And now I'm also bordering the inside out just to make sure that that Meteor Aura is definitely nice and clean looking. So I'm still finding it really bland and really dark, and the Meteor Aura is just not shining like I'm hoping it will. I'm thinking, you know, maybe if I would have put a lighter color underneath where the Meteor Aura was, it might have turned out a little bit better. But either way, it's done, and I'm going to do my best to make this set look good, even with the darkness. So I just put down 4 dots with one of the dotting tools from the Creativity set with the Meet Me at the Chapel. I'm using the smallest liner in the Creativity set, and I'm just dragging those circles into the center to make a very small flower. So this is just pulling those dots out, making it look like a couple of petals. And if you can see, my one of my bristles is off, so it's kind of throwing me off here. So then I cured that for, so cure the petals for at least 10 seconds. Then I put some Raven's Kiss in the center of the flower. Now I'm using the mini fan brush from the Creativity set because I'm still not satisfied, and I'm just going to shade out the outer parts where I already put the Raven's Kiss, and I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. Looking back on it, I think if I had some chandelier, or if I used some Clearly Frisky and mixed it with chrome number 1 or 11, it might have made that Meteor Aura stand out more. But that's why we do this, right? Because we love nail art. Keep trying, keep practicing, and just get better. I'm going to grab some of the Guilty Soiree, and I'm going to add the Guilty Soiree into the Raven's Kiss. I need something to make that Metor Aura pop out, and I just have way too many dark colors on the nail, so it's taking away from how beautiful the Metor Aura is in the center. So I'm just kind of dragging it through, and there is really no rhyme or reason what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of giving it a little accent down the sides to kind of try and make that Metor Aura pop out in the middle. So after you finish doing all of the edges with the Raven's Kiss and the Guilty Soiree, then you're going to want to pop that in the lamp for a full cure, 45 to 60 seconds depending on your lamp. So right now it just kind of looks like a mix match of a whole bunch of different colors, but I promise you it's going to look a little bit better when we're done. I am still not happy. So I am grabbing some white stamping gel from our stamping kit, and I'm going to mix that in with some Meet Me at the Chapel that I already have on the palette. Because I'm going to do a flower as an accent on the thumbnail, since I already did a very small one on the middle finger. I think it might bring the whole set together and lighten up the set quite a bit. The reason why I'm adding stamping gel is because stamping gel is way more thick in consistency, and it also is way more pigmented. So it's going to be a lot easier to do what I'm going to try and do. So I am using the angled brush in the Creativity set, and I am putting the light color, which is the white, mixed in with the stamping gel, on the tip of the brush, and then on the very bottom of the brush I'm scooping up some Guilty Soiree, and I'm just going to mix like that on the palette until it's coated on both sides of my brush. Then I'm going to pick a spot on the nail plate, and I'm just going to drag up and then drag back down, kind of with a little bit of a wiggling motion. You can also pick it up and move it just slightly, ever so slightly. And what happens when I'm doing that is it kind of gives you a couple of different solid lines, which makes it look like a real live petal. And then you just drag it down. I'm sorry, my thumb's in the way there. So then you start at the base or the middle, and then you pull up or wiggle up or make small little steps up, and then you come back down and you make your petal. And then you reload your brush when you need to. Drag up and drag down. And then one more petal, drag up and drag back down. Then you're going to want to give that a full cure for 45 to 60 seconds, and then you're going to want to go over it a second time to make those lines a little bit more dark. So we're finished our full cure, and now we're just going to go over it a second time, and it's amazing how much the second coat makes a difference. It's kind of just like when you're putting full polish on the nail plate. If you only do one coat, it looks really translucent and streaky and not very good, but if you put 2 or 3 coats on, it looks like an opaque, solid, beautiful nail. And it works the same way when you're doing the one stroke. You have to do it more than once. Even if it's a really opaque color, you still need to do it at least 2 times. You also kind of want to go slow here. You don't want to go too fast, because you want to make sure that that polish is depositing onto the nail plate. If you go too fast, it's just going to smear, and you're not going to get those nice jaggedy I don't know, I guess it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like little different shades on the petal. If you go too fast, it's just going to be one big stripe. Instead of having a couple of different jagged edges, that makes it look like you're having a true live flower on the nail. And once you're done, make sure you give it a full cure. Now, to make the flower look a little bit more 3D and realistic, I'm going to use the 14 purple from our stamping kit colors. And I'm going to add that to the white mixture that I already have on my palette, and I'm going to just mix it in. I don't want to put just straight purple because I think that's going to be way too strong of a color, especially when we have green on the nail plate. I don't want to have it jump out at you. I want to just have a nice mild transition. And then I'm going to use some more Meet Me at the Chapel, and I'm going to mix my colors for the inner part of the petals. So because I already have some of the Guilty Soiree on the inner part of the petals, I'm adding a little bit to this mixture as well. So if you've seen, I grabbed some Guilty Soiree, some of the purple mixture, and some of the white mixture. And I'm just going to load up my brush here to get it ready for the inner part of the petals. So adding just a little bit more Guilty Soiree there. If you can see, it looks a little bit more shimmery. And then we're just going to go over. I actually, my first coat, I kind of went off of camera. So this is my second coat. My first coat has already been fully cured. And this is just the second one, making sure that those inner petals are nice and opaque. Make sure when you're doing your petals, when you're doing your second layer, make sure that you follow the exact same pattern as you originally did. If you go off on your second coat just a little bit, it'll look funny. And make sure to give it a full cure. Okay, oh my God, I finally gave in. I'm using Meet Me at the Chapel to separate the darkness and the Metor Aura to the Emerald Envy and the Raven's Kiss. I cannot figure out another way to separate these two colors and make that Metor Aura pop. And you don't want to keep adding and adding and adding because too much is just too much. So for whoever is following along step by step, this is the medium liner brush used with just Meet Me at the Chapel, and it's saturated in the Meet Me at the Chapel, and then I've dragged off a lot of the excess polish to make it a lot thinner of a line. This part is pretty straightforward. I'm just using the dotting tool with some Meet Me at the Chapel, and I am just popping down a couple of dots. Make sure you push down and come straight up so you have no tails hanging off and falling onto the nail. Here I'm using the small liner brush or the short liner brush, and I'm just taking a little bit, a nice thin lines, just a little bit on the brush, and I'm just dragging out just a couple of wispy, I don't know if you'd want to call them grass or branches, or just something that gives it a little bit more detail onto the flower, so it's just not the flower itself that's the focal point. I think giving lines, curves, filigree, leaves, any type of accent to a focal point is very important. And then once you're finished, you can just put that into the lamp for 45 to 60 seconds. Make sure it's a good full cure before putting on the Clearly Frisky, as you don't want to smudge it. And then apply your Clearly Frisky. I'm going to apply it on all the nails. I was going to leave it matte, but I think because of the issue that I'm having with the Metor Aura not popping, I'm thinking that if I put Clearly Frisky on the whole set, it's going to give it a completely different look. And of course, when you're applying, make sure that you have a full coverage Since there was matter effect underneath, you want to make sure that you have complete coverage before you cure it. Once you have it completely covered, put it in the lamp for 45 to 60 seconds for a full cure. Finally, we're getting to the final touches. You want to have Meet Me at the Chapel or Lovey Dovey on your smallest brush. Now, I don't believe that, for me, GelMoment has a fine enough detailed brush. You could use the liner brush, but I find it still too big to do really detailed work. So I am using another detailer. It's called a micro detailer. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at any type of artist store, Michael's. Hopefully GelMoment comes out with one that is a micro detailer, but so far they don't. And with my micro detailer, I am just following along the petals. So I'm not going on every single line in the petals. I'm just randomly picking certain areas that I might want to clean up a little bit. Maybe you want to make a rounded petal have a little bit more of a pointed tip. Maybe clean up the side of the petal a little bit so it looks a little bit more clean and not so jagged. Doing the detail work is really personal preference, and you just learn over time on where the best places are to put that detail. That's what practice is all about, though. Get your creativity set out and you just trial and error it. I love nail art, and every chance I get, I'm doing nail art. I actually have a nail salon. I am a nail technician, and I actually absolutely love the clients that come in and want to get nail art done. It's almost like having a pouty face when people don't want to get nice, cool things done and they just want a solid color. I know there's a lot of you out there, but come on, don't you want pretty art on your nails? So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have a bit of polish on your brush, but not a lot, because you want to try and make these lines as thin as possible. It's just detail. You don't want to be coloring anything in, so the thinner the better. Definitely if you have a blob or a big ball of paint on your brush, you have way too much paint on your brush. I love doing flowers, and for those of you that might be interested in seeing more, I plan on doing a lot more flowers. I have more time in the winter than I do in the summer, so I hopefully have a few tutorials. So the very center of the flower, I used a larger dotting tool to put the one dot of Raven's Kiss in, and as you can see, I'm just using a very, very small, actually this one is a pointed end of a dotting tool, and I'm just sporadically putting those seeds in there, and this is the finished product. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope you subscribe and join me for the next ones to come. Have a great day.